When the teachings were over, the thunder of silence stood forth. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavaseshyate Om Shanti 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavage Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavitvishavagaye Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. And when you hear the word from God, it will make you God. Now we get into a very intriguing section in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25, which is the parable of the 10 virgins. Who are the virgins, the 10 virgins? And who is a virgin? A virgin is one who is pure and who has been undefiled. So undefiled means the virgins, a virgin in a spiritual sense, everyone has to be a virgin soul in order for the Christ consciousness to dawn within oneself. So even though even though a person be a man, he too also has to be a virgin soul, who is undefiled and unblemished by the world, by the images of the world impinging upon his mind. So when his mind is clean and pure, undefiled by worldly thoughts impinging upon it, then this person is said to be in a virgin state. It is a state likened to a state in a desert where there is nothing. In a desert there is nothing. So also this person must have a desert-like frame of mind where there is nothing. So when he maintains such a state, he is said to be a virgin or a virgin soul. He is pure, undefiled. So at the same time, in order to be undefiled, one has to be free or freed of the initial worldly impulses and images which surface and trouble one's mind and heart. So a virgin soul is one who is pure in heart and pure in mind. So such a person would be in a condition to trim their wick and to be God aware without being disturbed by the worldly phenomena impinging upon themselves. So this particular parable is very significant. So he says, Jesus says, then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto the 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. Meet the bridegroom. So, when one is in a virgin state, then one is a virgin soul. And in such a state, the Christ consciousness will dawn within them, will dawn within each and every one of them. So that is why the expression bride and bridegroom is mentioned. One is the bride and the other is the bridegroom. So the bridegroom is the Christ consciousness. So referred to as a second coming of Christ in popular language. But what it really means is that the Christ consciousness will dawn within oneself. And when the Christ consciousness dawns within oneself, then that is the beginning. That is the beginning of the process to end, of beginning of the end process, wherein one is flooded or surcharged with the Spirit of God which has entered unto thee, and now which filleth thee and consumeth thee, so that in due course, when one is able to sustain and maintain this, in due time, the state of salvation would transpire, or liberation or enlightenment would transpire within oneself, in one's current or particular current frame of mind. So therefore, it shall be likened to the 10 virgins, which took their lamps, the lamp of knowledge, the lamp of knowledge. And an empty lamp without being lit is of no use. You can have the lamp of knowledge, but the lamp of knowledge gets lit when the God awareness is maintained. So whenever the God awareness is maintained, the lamp of knowledge is lit with God awareness. And when God awareness is not maintained, then even though the lamp of knowledge is there, it is not lit. It is not lit. So quite often too, we find in human life that at times it is well lit. The lamp is well lit at times. When you are in meditation, in a state of contemplation or contemplative awareness, it's well lit. At times when you are fast asleep, it is not. Or distracted by other things, then it is not. The light of knowledge is not lit. The light of awareness, the light of knowledge is not lit, though the knowledge is present. So therefore he says, 5 of them were wise and 5 were foolish. 5 of the virgins were wise and 5 not. And they that were foolish took their lamps. They that were foolish took their lamp. Of course, the lamp is a lamp of knowledge. And took no oil with them took no oil with them to light it. To light it. So to light means the light of awareness, the light of God awareness, or the light of awareness. They failed to take that oil to do so. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. The wise, because they had been constantly, prior to it also, maintaining this awareness. So therefore it was common practice for them, and they naturally took it with them. The others not. So, while the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. So, while the bridegroom, here the bridegroom stands for the Christ consciousness. It can come unto you at any time. At any time. You never know when it cometh. That is why the earlier two parables were given to indicate. Watch the parable earlier, wherein if a thief entereth that house, thy house, he would not enter if thou were always on watch. On watch. And then the second parable was also given there earlier, wherein it was mentioned that when the good Lord has given you the works to do, and He finds you, doeth thy works, actively busy, then the Lord is pleased with you, because He may not know when He would come. When He would come, you would not be in a lazy, indulgent state. So therefore, those two parables earlier were given in order to indicate that you have to go about your business and do what you have to do. That is why when Jesus and Mary lost Jesus in the temple, and they went to recover Him in the temple and asked Him, "Oh, Jesus, we were indeed highly troubled by you. We were searching all over for you. Where have thou been? Where?" So Jesus said, "I have been busy with my Father's business. I was going about with my Father's business." Right? So here too also, one must go about one's business. So here one's business is one's works, which one has to do. And also it means that while doing one's business, one should also be constantly aware of one's God's nature. So to keep watch, whenever you are not directly involved in active work, then at other times, as far as possible, you should also at the same time maintain vigil, maintain watch. The word vigil has been used. So vigil is to keep watch, to vigil. So when you maintain vigil for something, for something to arrive, something to come, something to watch, you are maintaining vigil. And often vigil is maintained in the dead of night. So that is why in the old days, in the good old days, centuries earlier, in Western monasteries and in convents, they had courtyards. They were huge structures with a wide courtyard. And the nuns had the habit of walking around the courtyard over and over again in the dead of night, maintaining vigil. Maintaining vigil. Because they were the bride, waiting for the bridegroom, the virgin souls who were constantly awaiting the coming of the Christ consciousness. So in order to receive the Christ consciousness, they were at constant vigilance, and they maintained vigil in the dead of night when everything is quiet, the whole world outside is quiet. So too also there was quietude in their mind. In their mind too it was very quiet indeed. So thus in such a quiet mind, the dawn and the rising of Christ consciousness can take place, and this can transpire at any time. God does not tell you, announce you priorhand that I am coming, be ready for me. He just appears. He just appears. So you never know. So that is what this parable is trying to indicate to the parable of the 10 virgins. So wherein 5 of the virgins were wives, so they had trimmed their wicks. They had trimmed their wicks and had the necessary oil too, which is constantly kept ablaze. And they were constantly aware of the impending arrival of Christ, or the Christ consciousness, which means the Christ consciousness which is to dawn within each and every one in the world. So this is what is meant by maintaining vigil. Vigil means to be constantly aware. To be constantly aware. So while the bridegroom tarried, he takes his own time, he comes at his own time. They all slumbered and slept. So the 10 brides, or the virgins, slumbered and slept. And at midnight, there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh. Go out to meet him. Be awake and to meet him and to greet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their wicks, trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said unto the wise, Give us some of your oil. For our lamps are gone out. Our lamps are gone out because they had not maintained earlier itself the practice of awareness, the practice of vigilance, the practice of God awareness. So therefore their lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, No, not so, not so. Let there be not enough for us and you. But you go rather to them that sell and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came. So he came. And they that were ready went in with him to the marriage. So those who were ready, they went in to their marriage, means to receive the Christ consciousness. That's all allegorically stated. Because it happens then and there itself. They don't have to go anywhere. While they are, so it's a story form, so to indicate that. And the door was shut. So they got married. So the Christ consciousness dawned within them. And they were one with it. They were one with it. Afterwards came also the other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said, Verily, I say unto you, I know you not. Of course, he knows them not, because they had not got in touch with him earlier. How could he know them? If the bridegroom were to come to the bride, the bridegroom must have a knowledge of the bride, prior knowledge. He just can't walk blindly and pick up anyone. So he has to have a prior knowledge, and to have the prior knowledge, the bride should have had prior contact with the bridegroom, or a knowledge of it. And that contact with the knowledge of it can only be maintained by being God aware. So by being God aware, you maintain that contact with the bridegroom, so that the bridegroom knows who you are, that you have made contact. Just as the female dog came into the yard of the convent looking for them, so it was trying to make contact. So the male knows. The male is aware that the female dog has come looking for it. So the contact has been made. So therefore Jesus said, I know you not. I don't know you, because you never made contact with me. How do I know you not? And the door was shut. So initially itself, so this is a very significant verse, very significant parable, which is meant for every person, that everyone should be constantly aware. and train himself and trim his wick with the awareness of God, so that you know not when that second coming of Christ or Christ consciousness will dawn upon you or dawn within you. So Christ consciousness means that be totally consumed by the awareness of God. That's the initial process. Therefore, he says, watch, therefore, for you know neither day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. Watch, therefore keep watch. Keep watch. So there were 3 parables in which the word watch had been mentioned, 2 earlier ones, and even in this parable too. Keep constant watch, vigil. Therefore you know neither the day nor the hour. At what time, on which day, wherein the Son of Man cometh means as Christ consciousness will dawn upon you. Then 14. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man travelling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And this kingdom is another parable which is indicating another interesting feature. That is, he's not indicating a story or a parable by which he's trying to enlighten you with a certain truths of life. For in the world we find different types of people with different abilities and capacities who are aspiring for God. Some have got a greater capacity, some less, some middling capacity, and also some have made greater effort, some middling effort, some less effort. Right? So it is that state of affairs which is being explained in the next parable. So in the next parable, Jesus says, for the kingdom of heaven is as a man travelling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. That is, it is just like a man who is going to go away to a far country, and he called his own servants, entrusted his goods to them, entrusted some of his goods to them, and delivered unto them, and then he told them, of the 3 servants, the first servant, and unto one he gave 5 talents, 5 talents, to another 2, and unto another 1. So to each one of the 3 servants, to one servant he gave 5, to the second 2, and to the third 1. And to every man according to his several abilities, and according to his innate abilities, his capacities, he had given them these. And then straight away took his journey, and soon after took his journey. So according to their own respective abilities, he had given certain amount of usage money to be used, and then took to his country. Then what happened? Then that he had received the 5 talents, the one who had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same and made them other 5 talents. So the one who had 5, he went and traded and acquired more talents, and made 5 more. Likewise, the one who received 2 did likewise, and increased it by 2 more. But the third, he that had received 1 talent, went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. So what did he do? He went and dug the soil and hid that 1 talent in the earth. Hid his Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoned with them, and the master of those servants came and he requested, give me an account of what you had done with this. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought 5 other talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. Thou gavest me 5 talents, and I traded and increased it by another 5 and got 10 talents. Gained beside them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, well done, very good. Thou good and faithful servant, thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler of many over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. So you are a faithful servant, you had complied and did what you should do, and increased, and therefore I will make you the ruler of many more too. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. So he said, his Lord said unto him, well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. I'll see that you get many more too. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. So thou had indeed pleased thy Lord. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord indeed. So God is pleased with you, because you too also have increased and multiplied. So what does it mean here? And what does it mean here? These 2 servants had, through their spiritual practices, of course they were each had a capacity, and they had increased their spiritual capacity. They had acquired more virtue. If they had 5 virtues, they had acquired those 5 virtues, 5 more, and made it 10. And during this course too, by the virtuous way of living, they had acquired more merit. They had acquired more merit. So the one who had 5, he had greater capacity, and he acquired more merit with already what he had, because that ability he had, because he already. And the second 2 also did likewise. He increased in virtue, in spiritual virtue he too increased. So therefore the Lord was pleased by them. Pleased by them. But what did the 3rd man do? The 3rd servant? Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art a hard man. I knew that you are a hard master, difficult to please. And I knew that thou art a hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown. So what you had not planted, you reap. You reap. So there are 2 ways of growing crops. One is to plant a sapling and it grows. The other is to plant a seed and it sprouts into a tree. So he says here, reaping where thou hast not sown, where thou hast not planted. Reaping the harvest where thou hast not planted a small sapling. And gathering where thou hast not sown, and gathering the crop, the harvest, the crop, where thou hast not sown the seed. So thou hast this character. So therefore I was a little afraid. I was afraid about it, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. So I went and hid it in the earth. And lo, there thou hast, that is thine. And now what you gave me, I give it back. I give it back. One you gave me, the same one I give you back. So where he says, I went and hid in the earth. That means he did nothing with it, and what he had received, what little virtue or capacity that he had received, he did not increase. Instead, he let it into the subconscious of his mind. That is the earthly. Into the subconscious of the mind, and disregarded it. So when you receive it, you should see that it gets multiplied and sprout forth. But this person instead, he let it sink into his mind, into the subconscious of his mind, so where it remained unused. And when it remains so unused, something intriguing happens. That is, the law of entropy transpires, which is the second law of thermodynamics.
ds equals dq over t for reversible process.
What?
ds equals dq over t for reversible process. Second law of thermodynamics.
The equation for the law of entropy.
The equation is mentioned. Okay. So therein, so every particle, everything left to itself undergoes a natural condition of degradation or deterioration. Anything that you know very well, anything left to itself undergoes a natural process of deterioration or decomposition. Well, over a period of time, everything in the whole universe, anything which is born of matter. So also, if you do not exercise constantly your capacities, you lose that capacity in whatever field. So that capacity deteriorates and crumbles. Even in the game of sports, it is so. It takes, once you do not exercise it and use it, your ability in that particular sport, it comes down, and it takes time once again to come back once again to your old rhythm of play in the sport, especially in tennis and other ball games. It is so. So now here also, the spiritual capacity that you have has to be constantly renewed, reinvigorated, and furthermore enhanced within you by daily constant practice. That is why people undertake constant daily prayers. People undergo in various traditions, people have set aside rules for prayers daily, in the morning and evening prayers and afternoon prayers, right? Certain communities even 3 times or 4 times a day, certain others 4 times. They have this mass, wherein 2-4 times prayers is maintained. All this is done to renew yourself. Keep on renewing it. Not to be done mechanically. If you do it mechanically, it's useless. It's like a tape recorder, which is constantly repeating it meaninglessly over and over again. But with your heart and with your feelings, then it is true prayers indeed. When you begin to renew yourself, you increase and multiply yourself more and more. But in case you don't do that, right, then that capacity which was there within you deteriorates. So this is the implication of this parable. So whatever capacity each one has, some more, some less. Some have got a little more spiritual capacity than the others. So that is why this parable is given in terms of 5, 2 and 1 challenge which you are given. To indicate that each one of you, when you are born, you have your innate innate ability. And this innate ability which each one has was something which did not drop all of a sudden from the sky, but it is something which was acquired and developed by you in your previous lifetimes. In your previous lives, you had acquired and developed these capacities. So that is why you have different capacities in different types of people. Not that it arbitrarily comes and is put onto you like that. That doesn't take place. It is something which is built on from what you had developed and acquired from your previous lifetimes. That is why different people have got different talents, different abilities, different knowledge structures, different skills which is natural to this person. As for instance, a good example would be Mozart. Mozart was a genius, child genius in music. So this capacity Mozart did have because in his previous life he was an accomplished musician, and thereby in the next life as Mozart, that particular capacity or talent came to him automatically, and he was a genius in music. So this is so in every field, including the spiritual field. So even in the spiritual field too, that is a starting point. Everyone's starting point is where he had left himself before. Where you left in your last life, that becomes the starting point in the current life. This is a current life. So, to indicate this, that these three varying talents have been indicated, to indicate that each man according to his talents is now further developing himself, and in due course, when you so make your effort, the Christ consciousness will dawn within you. So thus, he said, and I was afraid and went and hid thy talent in the earth. That means to say, I didn't make any good use of it. It was just lying in the subconscious of my mind. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, you are a slothful fellow. Thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. You know very well, you knew that, that's why you said that I reap where I planted not, and gather where I have not strewed the seed. You know that very well. Thou ought to us therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and you should have increased and multiplied, and then at my coming I should have received mine own usury too. So at that time when I came back, what was initially there as the initial deposit of 1, 2 or 5 talents, which is there within you, so that that is already there along with your further talents which you had acquired. Therefore take the talent from him and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. So therefore now you have proved yourself to be of no use, and give it to the other person who has got it well, who has done well in acquiring 10 talents. For unto everyone that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. So everyone who hath a spiritual capacity, that hath, by his further practices, he shall be given in abundance. He can develop it even more and more so. But from him that hath not, but That person in whom there was none, it shall be taken away even that which he hath. So even what he hath, even the capacity that he has will be taken away, means he will lose that capacity. Entropy sets in. The law of entropy sets in, and even that little capacity he will lose. He will fall down. Right? If you don't constantly renew yourself in this manner. And therefore cast you the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. So therefore thus you servant, you who had wasted your life and not put it to good use, you shall be put into outer darkness. Into outer darkness, and there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then he says in 31, when the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. Then another parable he says, when the Son of Man shall come in his glory, means when God, and with all his holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory. So it's an expression. It's an expression, or this particular section is an expression. Not that literally, that God is going to come there with his holy angels. It's not to be taken literally. So, and before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. So at the time of judgment, at the time of judgment, 3 times God judges you, the day of judgment. Every day is a day of judgment. When you retire to bed, you are judged according to the day you have lived. If you have lived that day well, 1 plus mark is given to you. If not, a minus mark. So you are judged there. Every day you are judged. The second time that you are judged is at the time of your physical exit. We will not use the word death, because you don't know, one ever dies. The physical exit of the soul. The physical exit of the soul. So at that time you are judged. Whether it's intriguing. When you have the physical exit, you have 4 routes. You have 4 routes which you take. The first route is you go to the heavens of returns. You experience your merit which you had acquired on planet Earth. And then thereafter, on the expiry of your holiday in heaven, it's only a holiday. It's a holiday resort. That's why it's a heaven of returns. On the expiry of your merit, when your holiday there is over, holiday of what? Holiday of merrymaking. That's all. It's a merrymaking resort. Heavens. Then you come back to the earth plane, and assume another body, another human, another body on the earth plane. That's the first route. The second route is that in case you do not aspire to go to the heavens of merrymaking heavens, merrymaking, it's a merry time that you have, just like going to the Riviera, or to what other places shall we say? to any other holiday resort, the world famous, merrymaking resort. If you have no interest to go there, then this, if you are wise enough, then there is no need to go there. Then this virtue of merit that you have acquired on planet Earth will be utilized for future good use. For future good use. So for such a person, he'll be immediately reborn on planet Earth and resume his spiritual journey from where he left. And this virtue that he had acquired will be kept for good use. So you're not wasting it. This is the second type. The third type is the heavens of no returns. Heavens of no returns. There are two types of heavens. One is the heavens of returns, wherein you go and come back. And there is another special heavens, which is very difficult for majority of the human race to go. It's the heavens of no returns. And it has got to all the other heavens. You take an exit. Your exit route is via any one of your 10 sense organs, because that is your exit route, isn't it? Your soul will depart via any one of the. It can depart via your eyes, via your mouth, via your any other sense organs. It may depart. That is why when some people die, you can see them. The mouth is open. The mouth is open. So you've got to close it. You've got to close it, isn't it? The mouth is open. So that means his soul has exited via the mouth. And then, so by this you have an indication from where the soul has exited. But if it has exited to the ears or any other, you would know. But with the mouth you can know, right? So thus it can either exit by any one of these 10 sense organs. To the person who goes to the heavens of returns. But there is a special exit by which you go to the heavens of no returns. That's another exit route. And that too is also known in case you take that exit route. But majority of the human race doesn't take that exit route because, or very few do it. So that's the third route. That's the third exit route.
Which is that third?
Oh, that's also heavens of no returns. To go to the heavens of no returns.
Whether your sense organs, it exists via any of the sense organs.
No, it has got another exit route. It is another exit route which is not associated with the immediate 10 sense organs. Right? So that's another route, third one. Then the fourth exit route is, of course, via any one of the sense organs. You can get to hell. And there have a jolly good time of gnashing and weeping and howling. Right? So wherein you can have a grand time there in hell. And then, having exhausted the whole thing, your sins, having expired part of your sins, then you come back. So these are the four routes which are taken by a person. Clear? So now, he says, and so that is, so these are the second time that the judgment takes place. You shall. When every day is a day of judgment, then at the time of your physical exit, that is also a day of judgment. And then later on also, the day of judgment will be there, as it has been mentioned, at the world's end. At the world's end too, things will take place. So he says, so this is metaphorically, allegorically stated. In this, and before him shall be gathered all nations, and the good Lord will come. shall come in his glory and with all his angels. So it's just metaphorically stated. But this is what is going to happen. Because when you go to these places, the heavens, you will be received. Oh, come along. You'll have a reception committee. You'll have a reception committee which will be coming. The angels will be coming and receiving you. Oh, come along, come along. Because of this merit, you are going to this place. So, and then he says, the good Lord will separate them from one another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. So a shepherd also divides his sheep and the goats. So it says, and he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on the left. The goats on the left. So on the right hand means, so in the Jewish tradition, the more exalted ones were kept on the right, were seated on the right, and the others less exalted were seated, kept on the left. So that is why he is giving this expression that the sheep will be on the right and the goats on the left at the day of judgment. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. So here the sheep are the ones who are going to get enlightened. Those souls who are going to receive their salvation. Their salvation or liberation. So they are all likened to the sheep. And earlier also in another section, Jesus mentions that I am the shepherd, the good shepherd, who leadeth the sheep onto the gate. And when I call them, they enter in through the gate. And only the sheep will enter. Only the sheep. Which I have led them to the gate, and when I call them through, they will enter. They hear my voice. Now hear these words. They will hear my voice and enter via the gate. So this is why I mention, when I make the invocatory words, I always make reference to this, that and in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And when you hear the word from God, it will make you God. So here also, at the entrance, at the gate, when the good shepherd has led you up to the gate, the sheep, not the goats, led the sheep unto the gate, then individually they will be led into it. When they hear my word. When they hear my word, that is what it means. So here also, come you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. So they will enter. So I am the shepherd, the good shepherd, and ones who are going to be enlightened are the good sheep who will be led to the gate. And God also says, Jesus says, very few find the gate. Many enter by the broad way, but very few find the gate. And so therefore, those very few who find the gate, they will inherit the kingdom of God, prepared for you of them from the foundation of the world. From the foundation of this world. So foundation of the world means that these people, they have worked on it. So this is the foundation. So whatever you do here, on this planet Earth, you have prepared yourself. You have, with your spiritual practices, having lived the will of God in your life. You have done a few things. One is, you had lived the will of God in your life. Secondly, you had acquired virtues. You had acquired virtues, good virtues, like love, compassion, kindness, goodness. These are the virtues that you had acquired. And then at the same time, you had been righteous and correct and noble in your ways and just in your operations with everybody else. So this is the third foundation. And the fourth is that you had constantly been God aware. You had trimmed your wick. You had trimmed your wick, trimmed your lamp, the lamp of knowledge, and set the wick alight, with the constant flow of God awareness. So that is the oil which floweth into the wick and lighteth the wick. The oil flows, isn't it? So it is the flow of awareness which you have been maintaining, by which the flame of the light of awareness is sustained and maintained by you. So the combination of all these four will enable you to get into the threshold of enlightenment, of salvation. And then at that time, so this is the foundation. So you have built up your foundation. You have built up your foundation of the world. Then, the first foundation is the cultivation of virtues like love, compassion. The second is, that is the first one, is to do the will of God. The second one is this, to live by the will of God. Not my will, but thy will. So your life itself is a living of the will of God. That's your. So then, each one of these texts, which have been differently translated, brings out, so this section, from the foundation of the world, let us see the other translation, the NIV translation, what it says about it. There you are. The NIV translation says, "Come, who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world." So instead of saying from the earlier, this King James version says, from the foundation of the world, which is correct. The foundation of the world, that is correct too. Now the NIV version says, since the creation of the world, that too is also acceptable. Since the creation of the world itself, the kingdom of the inner kingdom had already been prepared for you. It had already been prepared for you. Since the creation of the world itself, that too was there. So that translation is also all right. It's possible. And where was it prepared for you? Where was that prepared for you? It was prepared for you when you got into that divine rest. Divine rest. So then, the next is another translation. It's an ABS translation done in the States. So what does that say? Come and receive the kingdom that was prepared for you before the world was created. The kingdom that was prepared for you before the world was created. Now that is also very intriguing. That is also correct. Before the world was created. That's rather remarkable. That translation. How is it so? So, one thing is very clear, the kingdom of heaven does not belong to this universe. It is something which is beyond this, it's a state of existence which is beyond the universe. A state of existence. Because before the world was created. So that means before the universe was created, there was a state of existence which was otherworldly, beyond this universe. And it was already there. It was already there. And that is called the godly state of existence. The godly state of, so God does not exist in space, nor in some sphere, nor does he exist in one of these so-called heavenly regions. It is all metaphorically stated. Heavenly, all it means that it is wonderful. So that's what it means, that God's natural state of existence is very wonderful, wondrous. And it is beyond. It's a state of beingness which is beyond the universe and beyond all conceptions that you may have. You cannot have any conceptions about what it is, because it is something beyond, it's inconceivable. You can't conceive, have any notion or idea as to what it is. So therefore, before the world was created is also correct. So that means when you attain salvation, you attain to that status, to that original status of yours, from where you came, and that original status was there before the creation of the world. You attain to that state. So therefore all three translations, though different, they are acceptable. They are acceptable. But the first one is, according to the context, is more appropriate, because it says that from the foundation of the world, from the foundation of this world only, by your right effort, right practices, and right understanding and right belief, you are now entitled to this wonderful meritorious state. So, then, having said this much, he says, For I was an hungered, and you gave me meat. What is this foundation of the world? He is now explaining part of the foundation of the world. in the form of virtues. For I was hungered and you gave me meat to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me a drink to drink. I was a stranger and you took me in. I was a stranger for the night. And in that cold, outer cold, you took me into your home. You were gracious enough to give me shelter for the night. Naked and you clothed me. Naked. In the biting winter, I was naked. I had hardly any attire, and you clothed me. You gave me warm clothes to wear. I was sick. At some place, I was sick here and there, and you took care of me. And you visited me when I was in prison. When I was in prison, you visited me. So Jesus is saying, when I was in prison, when I was sick, when I was naked, when I was hungered, when I was thirsty, when I was without shelter, you did all this to me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, the righteous good people answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee and hungered and fed thee? When did it take place? When did this take place? When saw we thee hungered? When did we see you hungry and we fed you? We don't remember. Or thirsty and gave thee drink? We don't remember, we don't know. And when saw we thee a stranger? When did we see you as a stranger? We know you. When did we see you as a stranger and took you in and gave you shelter? And naked? And when were you naked without hardly any clothes and we clothed you? Or when did we see you sick or in prison and came unto thee? We don't understand this. What do you mean by this? And then the king shall answer, say unto them, King means the Lord of the universe. Verily I say unto you, in so much as you have done it unto me, so much as you have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, you have done it unto me. So whatever you have done to the least of my brethren, these are my brethren. All the people in the universe, they are my brethren. To any one of them that you had done to them, at any given time in your life, that you had fed a hungry man, gave a thirsty man to drink, and gave another man a shelter, whoever it was in the world, you have done it unto me. For me, you have done it for me. I take it that you have done it for me only. So there was, once again, this is appropriate to mention that there was a holy man in India, in the central part of India, who lived about 100 years ago. He was called as Shriddhi Baba. He was rather intriguing. And at times he was living as a hermit. People knew that he was a holy man, and oftentimes, now and then, as a hermit, he would go to certain homes, both to Hindu homes and Muslim homes, and partake of a little meal. And then one fine day, a man came and told him, "Oh, revered sir, you have not come to my home for alms for a number of days." And the holy man said, "Why? Today only I came there, and you fed me." The man is now wondering, today? When did he come today? Then he thought it over. Oh yes, at noon time, a stray dog appeared, and I fed it. So that is what the Baba says. I came there, right? So he knew. So this is how the Lord says, the good Lord says, that whomever you have so done to whichever person in the world, you have done it unto me. I have come and received it. Huh? In truth, it is me only that you have fed and clothed and done all these things. And this invariably a man of kindness, a person of kindness would automatically do. Huh? Then shall he say also unto them on the left hand. Then, now this is for the people on the right hand, who are the chosen ones, who are meant to get enlightened. And then he shall also say unto them on the left hand, depart from you, you cursed, into the everlasting fire. So the ones on the left hand were the goats. Were the goats. I don't know why the sheep and the goats is so useless. But nevertheless, these are the goats. You goat. So, even in the normal language also, when you insult a man and tell him, you goat, you don't say you sheep. You tell you goat, he gets angry. So there also, so he says, depart from me, you cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. So the devil also has his own colleagues. Angels means his fellow colleagues. Depart to that region, you who have led a life of iniquity, a life of wickedness. So those people who have led their life of wickedness, for them also there is a special territory, so that they can go and enjoy their life of hell, which the seeds of which they had planted on planet Earth by their wicked ways of iniquity, of murder and killing and theft, lies and blasphemy, and with all that they had acquired the capacity to go to hell. That also requires a capacity. You can't just go to hell. You must be qualified to go to hell. So it is on planet Earth that they obtain their qualification. The stamp is put on them before they exit. This is where you should go. For I was hungered and you gave me no meat. That means you were very cruel. Even though I was hungered and looking around for food, you cared not. And I was thirsty and you cared not to give me water. And you gave me, I was a stranger and you didn't care. You left me homeless on the street. And naked and you did not clothe me. And sick and you didn't nurse me in prison. And neither you visited me and give me solace. Then shall they also answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee and hungered or athirst or stranger or naked or sick or in prison, and did not minister unto thee? When? They will also say the same thing. When did you see? So, all right, when? When you were cruel unto people and unkind to people around you, that is what you did. You are cruel and unkind to people around you, that is where you obtained your qualifications to go to your meritorious hell. Then shall he answer to them, saying, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you did it not to one of the least of these, you did it not to me too. Since you are not kind to the poor. If at all a person should be kind and generous and giving, it should be to the poor. You don't give that to the rich. They don't need it. So, and these shall go away into everlasting punishment, and these people who make this special entry into hell shall go into a great deal of punishment, but the righteous into life eternal, but the righteous will enter the blessed, eternal, everlasting kingdom of God. Om Tat Sat.